Everyone's done something embarrassing, but most people don't have their biggest mistakes seen by millions of people. These movie flops hit their actors a little too hard. The disappointing box office for Shazam! Fury of the Gods was not a surprise. By the time the long-delayed superhero sequel hit theaters in March 2023, a full reboot of the DC Universe had already been announced, making the film already seem like yesterday's news. And getting worse reviews than the 2019 original didn't help matters. While the fate of Shazam in James Gunn's new DC Universe has yet to be officially decided, star Zachary Levi has certainly been acting like his once steady superhero gig is threatened, if not already over. On his Instagram account, Levi pleaded for moviegoers to boost the Rotten Tomatoes audience score for Fury of the Gods to increase the discrepancy with the negative critic score, saying,
"Because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that we got shook down the way that we got shook down. It really doesn't."
While begging more people to see his current movie, he's also been publicly asking for new roles. He tweeted at Neil Druckmann asking to join the cast of The Last of Us. Levi has also provided a look at some of the chaos behind the scenes at Warner Brothers, specifically calling out Dwayne Johnson for blocking the Justice Society of America characters from the Black Adam movie from cameoing in Fury of the Gods, and vetoing a potential Shazam cameo in Black Adam. In general, it's easier to find more examples of writers and directors feeling devastated following a flop than actors. It makes sense why. Audiences rejecting a film can feel more personal when it's a product of your vision. Such is the case with Bros, the well-received but financially unsuccessful 2022 gay rom-com that Billy Eichner starred in, co-wrote, and executive produced. In a since-deleted tweet, Eichner said, "Even with glowing reviews, great Rotten Tomatoes scores, an A cinema score, etc., straight people, especially in certain parts of the country, just didn't show up for Bros." This assessment of why the movie flopped was naturally subject to controversy. Homophobia was likely one factor for why the film, sold as the first major studio movie with an all-LGBTQ lead cast, struggled in theaters. But the fact is, a lot of LGBTQ viewers avoided the movie as well, judging by the box office results. Perhaps this was due to poor marketing. Or maybe people just felt like this type of movie is something they'd rather watch on streaming than in theaters. Before he became a household name, Jack Black was half of the comedy rock band Tenacious D alongside Kyle Gass. The D had an HBO series in the late 90s, and thanks in part to Black's breakout performance in High Fidelity, the band got a record contract and released their self-titled first album in 2001. In 2006, their long-in-the-works movie, Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, finally hit theaters, but nobody saw it. Directed by Liam Lynch and co-written by Lynch, Black, and Gass, this fantasy origin story about the band's formation and quest to claim Satan's guitar pick got mixed reviews from critics, who questioned whether the band's stoner shtick that worked great in episodic format successfully sustained a full feature. Black described the film's box office failure as a huge loss to Maxim magazine and quit screenwriting as a result. Tenacious D's next album, 2012's Rise of the Phoenix, opened with the lines, "When the Pick of Destiny was released, it was a bomb." They joked about the experience with a fictional story of the group breaking up and needing to reunite as a result of that failure. Though he was heartbroken by this financial failure, Black has been heartened by the fact that his fans still enjoy the movie years later. 2003 was not a great year for Ben Affleck. His growing celebrity was met with a growing backlash, and his acting credits that year were savaged by critics. One of those was Gigli, the rom-com in which Affleck played a gangster with a silly-sounding name who falls in love with a lesbian played by Jennifer Lopez, became one of the most infamous bombs of the 21st century. The fact Affleck began dating Lopez on the set of the film made for perfect tabloid fodder, cementing its infamy, even when Affleck has starred in bigger money losers. Reflecting on Gigli 20 years later in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Affleck said there's still some good stuff in the film, while admitting that overall it didn't work. But what really hurt was how the response to the film impacted people's perceptions of him as a person. I can see now how people looked at me and thought of this person as some callow frat guy who's cavalier or has too much. It engendered a lot of negative feelings in people about me. There's that aspect of people that I got to see that was sad and hard. It was depressing and really made me question things and feel disappointed and have a lot of self-doubt.
No more hangers!
Faye Dunaway's campy, over-the-top performance as a movie star and abusive mother Joan Crawford in the 1981 drama Mommie, Dearest was instantly divisive. She was runner-up for Best Actress at the National Society of Film Critics Awards and the New York Film Critics Circle Awards, and also won Worst Actress at the Razzies and the Stinkers Bad Movie Awards. Though the movie has gone on to be embraced as a so-bad-it's-good cult film, It disappointed at the box office and had a negative effect on Dunaway's career. The actor has mostly avoided talking about her experience with Mommie Dearest, but in a 2016 interview with People, she explained that in the aftermath of the film's release, people would irretrievably have the wrong impression of me. She considers the movie a bad decision, but one she can't take back, saying, "It's unfortunate they felt they had to make that kind of movie, but you can't be ashamed of the work you've done. You make a decision, and then you have to live with the consequence." Has any actor expressed their hatred for a certain role of theirs, and George Clooney has with his performance as the Dark Knight in Batman and Robin? The 1997 Joel Schumacher flop was one of the first movies to be majorly hit by nerd backlash in the early years of the internet, killing the live-action Batman movie franchise until Christopher Nolan's reboots. The failure didn't hurt Clooney's career, as he'd rise up as one of the biggest stars in Hollywood in the years following its release. But it's nonetheless an experience he regrets. One article from Vulture in 2014 chronicled 6 different instances of Clooney apologizing for or making fun of Batman and Robin over the years, and he's continued to do it multiple times since, including on The Graham Norton Show in 2015.
I always apologize for Batman.
In particular, he's complained about how hard it was to act in the Batman suit and has made plentiful jokes about that version of the suit's infamous nipples. Even when accepting Icon of the Year honors from GQ in 2020, Clooney still made sure to talk about how bad his acting was in Batman and Robin, in the context of being honest about one's shortcomings. Even Clooney's hatred of Batman and Robin might not compare to the sheer loathing Bob Hoskins felt towards the 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie. Long before Chris Pratt voiced an animated Mario in 2023's The Super Mario Bros. Movie, Hoskins wore the Red Plumber's uniform in a bizarre live-action adaptation that seemingly took more inspiration from Blade Runner than from the whimsical Nintendo games. Hoskins didn't even know the movie was based on a video game when he started working on it. When his kids told him, he responded,
"I used to play King Lear."
The production was a mess, going over schedule and over budget with the script constantly changing. Hoskins and his co-star John Leguizamo were drinking a lot on set, and one stunt broke Hoskins' finger. All this suffering for a movie that was universally hated by critics and Mario fans alike. In a 2011 interview with The Guardian, Hoskins called Super Mario Bros. His worst job, biggest disappointment, and the one thing he wished he could erase from his past. What could even be said about a bomb as bad and bafflingly weird as Cats? The stars of Tom Hooper's 2019 Uncanny Valley adaptation of Andrew Lloyd Webber's hit musical have mostly responded to the film's critical and financial failure. James Corden and Rebel Wilson mocked the special effects at the Oscars. Taylor Swift and Sir Ian McKellen emphasized that they had fun on the set of that ridiculous movie. And Dame Judi Dench didn't even see it. Some actors have praised the film, while others criticized it, but none of them responded with anger or hatred towards the film. Except Jason Derulo. The rum-tum tugger in Cats was the singer's first acting role, which might explain why he felt more defensive about it than his co-stars. Speaking to TMZ at the time of the film's release, he questioned whether critics knew what they were even talking about, asking, "Have they made a film ever in their life?" He later told The Telegraph, "I thought it was going to change the world." Ultimately, he says he learned a lesson from the experience, saying, "You can't wait for the perfect moment, because that might not be your moment. So you've just got to go for gold. That's how I'll move forward." Neil Marshall's 2019 reboot of Hellboy, starring David Harbour as the titular Red Demon, was greeted with skepticism from the moment it was announced. Many fans were disappointed that Guillermo del Toro never got the chance to make a third Hellboy film with Ron Perlman, and Harbour believes that this disappointment colored the reactions to the reboot, leading critics and fans to judge it unfairly. Speaking with Digital Spy shortly after the film's release, Harbour admitted that the film had big problems but that it was still unfairly criticized based on audiences' expectations. In 2022, he opened up to GQ about having a hard time personally following the film's failure, and even called Ryan Reynolds, who had his own widely hated superhero flop with Green Lantern, for support. Harbour succinctly put the ultimate lesson he learned from his Hellboy experience this way.
"I learned not to with an established IP, that's for sure."
The 2008 comedy The Love Guru is one of those rare bombs so disastrous it basically single-handedly killed its lead actor's career. Mike Myers starred in, co-wrote and co-produced the film, and he won Razzies for all 3 of those jobs. Aside from voice acting in the fourth Shrek film, he hasn't had a leading role in a movie since, only occasionally appearing on TV, in documentaries, and in bit parts in films. Despite the huge failure of The Love Guru and its devastating impact on his career, Myers still defended the film in a 2014 GQ interview, saying, "There's a lot in that movie comedically that I'm really proud of. I completely recognize it didn't meet an audience." He also tries not to get too personally upset about the film bombing, saying, I just love making stuff, dude. You know, you can't be too attached up and you can't be too attached down. Unlike the other examples on this list, Jennifer Lawrence was not personally bothered by the fact her 2017 psychological horror movie Mother bombed. The ultra-violent religious allegory was always going to confuse some viewers and offend others, so it's not a shocker that critics were divided on the film, and mainstream audiences rejected it. In a Variety Actors on Actors video discussion with Adam Sandler, Lawrence said she typically doesn't read reviews or think about her films after she's done promoting them. So why is Lawrence on this list? Because, as revealed in the Variety video, the film's writer, director, and her then-boyfriend Darren Aronofsky was devastated by the response to the film, and Lawrence got sick of him constantly talking about the film's reviews.
I was doing double duty of, trying to be a supportive partner while also being like, can I please, for the love of God, not think about Mother for 1 second?
Lawrence describes the dynamic as unhealthy for both of them, and she broke up with Aronofsky in the months after the film's release.